Well, we still have a couple of people coming in. It's just getting to the 5 p.m. Eastern time hour. I see a lot of familiar names, a lot of members on the call today. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see you. Well, I should say see your name, and good to be seen. I just, before we get started, I will remind the members on the line, December 1st is our virtual economic symposium. We're very disappointed not to be able to come together like we normally do in December, but be sure to save the date, go to our website, find the virtual economic symposium link, and it's free for members to attend. And it is a members only event, but we've got a great economic speaker joining us, Chris Sokol. Let me get that out. All right. Looking at the clock, it is 5 p.m. Eastern time. We do like to go ahead and get started on time. So with that, I will officially welcome everyone. And for those that don't know me, my name is Sarah Hagee. I'm the Executive Director with the Electrical Association of Philadelphia, and we're really excited today to have this very dynamic training coming to you all the way from Utah. I'm joined today by Dave Francis, our speaker with Little Giant Ladder, my colleague Matt Dybert, and of course I have Dominic Minocci with Moulton Ladder Scaffolding Company, who's sponsoring this evening's event. Dom, thank you so much. We're really excited to be working with you guys. Before I turn it over to you, I have just a few housekeeping items, guys. As you know, your mics and your cameras, they've been turned off for the session. We are recording this event. However, you are encouraged and welcome to submit questions via the chat. Dave's team is connected. They can see the chat and they're going to throw that question to him right in his ear so he can answer that question in real time. So with that, it's my pleasure to turn this over to Dominic, who's the account manager with Moulton Ladder and Scaffolding Company. Thanks, Dom.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dominic with Moulton Ladder. As Sarah stated, we're located in Philadelphia. We're a distributor of ladders, scaffolding, fall protection, safety equipment, job site storage, and vehicle racks and vehicle toolboxes. Today, as Sarah stated, we have Dave with us, who's with Little Giant. He's got over 30 years of experience in the field. He is currently the National Safety Director at Little Giant, and his sole purpose in that position is to make sure everyone gets home safe at the end of the day and gets back to their families. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Dave, and he will get into the ladder safety.
All right. Thanks, Dom. Thanks, Sarah. I would just like, I know everybody's been doing Teams meetings and Zoom meetings, but if you haven't done one recently, if you'll go to my screen and over my little box on your screen, if you'll go up into the right-hand corner and move your mouse, there'll be 3 little dots.
Hey, Dave,
yeah.
Dave, this is a webinar setup. You're full screen once we're out of here. You're good to go.
Perfect. Thank you. No need to pin me, but here we go. We are talking today about ladder safety. Falls is the #1 cause of accident and injury in the workplace, and ladder-related falls are a big part of that. And so not only as Little Giant Ladders, but as an industry, we focus a lot on ladder safety training to try and bring those numbers down and get employees home at the end of the day. And so we're going to cover the basics of ladder safety training, what you should know, the resources that are available to you, and some of the new products that are out there on the market that make ladders safer by design. But I like to start off my presentations with this picture because this is really why we talk about ladder safety. I don't know how these 2 gentlemen got into this position. I hope they still send each other cards on Valentine's Day, but this is not the recommended use for a ladder or anything else in this picture. This is why we talk about ladder safety, because people cut corners, they take risks, they do things that aren't recommended to try and get the job done, and then they end up with a situation where we're going to have an accident. Now, falls is, of course, the #1 cause of accident and injury. The top 10 violations from OSHA, fall protection is #1, scaffolding is #3, ladder 6, and the training at 8. So 4 of the top 10 most cited violations have to do with working at height. We know that the fatal 4, the 4 biggest causes of fatalities by OSHA is falls at 39%. Almost 40% of all the fatalities happen because of falls. The others are small percentages compared to what falls are, and ladders are a big part of that. So there's some basics about ladder safety that we want to cover. So 4 basic rules of ladder safety. Number 1, we want you to choose the right ladder for the job. Number 2, we want you to inspect that ladder before you use it. Number 3, we want you to set it up as level and as flat as you can. And 4, we want you to climb it properly, keeping your body between the side rails, maintaining 3 points of contact. And so we'll cover all of those things. But let's start with number 1, choosing the right ladder for the job. Now, choosing the right ladder for the job sometimes means just choosing a ladder. Too often, we get into a situation where it's easier to climb up on a piece of equipment, to climb up on a piece of furniture, to do something crazy to get the job done instead of using the piece of equipment that is designed and made to do that job. So rule number 1 in choosing the right ladder for the job is choose a ladder. Don't climb up on pallets or carts or barrels or buckets to try and get it done. Stop what you're doing, go out, get the right tool for the job, which is a ladder. So choose a ladder. How do you choose it? Well, come back to me. When you're choosing a ladder, make sure it's the right material. You're the Electrical Association. So why do we use fiberglass ladders? We use fiberglass because fiberglass is non-conductive. It acts as an insulator. So whenever you're working around any kind of electricity, you need to make sure that your ladder is fiberglass, not aluminum. Fiberglass has some different properties than aluminum in that it's a resin. And so it needs to be inspected more often. It needs to be inspected closer because it's a resin, not an alloy. Number 2, you want the weight rating. We hear this a lot where people say, well, I weigh 200 pounds. Why do I need a 375 pound rated ladder? Well, the ladder is rated for you, your clothing, your tools, and the equipment that you're carrying up and down the ladder. If you're anywhere over 200 pounds and you're doing some heavy work, chances are you're going to be over the 300 pound limit on a standard 1A ladder. So remember, it's not just you, it's everybody on your job site, because how often have you climbed down a ladder, turned away, turned back around, and your ladder's gone? Well, somebody else needed it, and that guy was probably over 300 pounds. A guy named Bubba is using your ladder someplace else. And so it very rarely is just about you on a ladder. It's about the whole crew. So make sure that even if you don't weigh 300 pounds, you're using the right ladder for the job, making sure that it's industrial rated, at least 250 pounds or better to be on a job site. Now, the right material, fiberglass, the right rating, 250, 300, 375, you want to be up in that industrial rating. You want to have the right style of ladder, which this is kind of a new area in ladder safety that we've had to change. So for 20, 30 years in the ladder business, I've told people never take an A-frame ladder and lean it against the wall. That's not the way that ladder is designed. We don't want you to use it in the closed position. But just in the last year, ladders have been designed specifically to use in the closed position. There's a sticker on the side that says it's OSHA approved. It's designed so that there's a pad on the top, the back legs lock into place, the feet are designed to sit at different positions. So it's specifically designed to be used in those hard to reach areas where you need that ladder to get up against the wall into those close, tight areas. Lastly, you want to use the right size ladder. And this is important because the ladder industry has been lying to you your whole life. A 20-foot extension ladder is not 20 feet long. A 20-foot extension ladder is 2 10-foot sections that put end to end make 20 feet, but you can't use it end to end. there's 3 feet of overlap. So know that if you need to go 20 feet off the ground, your 20-foot ladder is only 17 feet long, and you can't stand on the top 3 rungs. So what you really need is a 28-foot extension ladder to get to that 20-foot landing if you're going to do it properly. So be aware, ladders are shorter than what you buy them as. 20-footers only 17, they're 3 feet shorter than what you buy them as. And you're not supposed to climb on the top 3 rungs. So plan that into how you buy ladders. Make sure that you have the right size ladder for the job. Now, this brings up a great point. What happens if your ladder's not big enough? Well, I don't want you standing on top of somebody else. And more often, I don't want you to stack your ladder on something else to gain more height. So don't stack a ladder on pallets. Don't lift a ladder up with a forklift. Don't put a ladder up on scaffolding or some raised platform. Ladders are meant to be used on the flat, dry ground, never stacked on something else. Now, in the OSHA standard, they actually call out something called lashing. Lashing is where you take one ladder and stack it on another ladder and tie it together. It doesn't matter how good your duct tape is. It doesn't matter how good your knot tying skills are. You can't put 2 ladders together and make a bigger ladder. You have got to stop what you're doing, go get the right size ladder for the job, and do it safely. Never stack 2 ladders or try and tie 2 ladders together to make a bigger ladder. It's never going to be safe to do that. Use the right tool for the job. So that's rule number 1. Rule number 1 is pick the right ladder for the job. The right material, the right weight rating, the right style, and the right length. Those are the 4 rules. Now, how often do you inspect? Well, every time you use it, especially if it's the first time you use it. Now, there's a great app. You go to the App Store after this meeting. This is what the icon is going to look like at the App Store. It's from NIOSH. It's free, and it's a ladder safety training app that you can teach a ladder safety training class. You can click the inspection button. You can do a full inspection by going through the tutorial on that app. If you're a safety officer at all, have anything to do with ladders, I highly recommend that you have that app on your phone. So just go to the App Store, pull that NIOSH app up. Here's a little link right here. If you go to inspection, you can actually choose between an A-frame. It'll give you the dots to actually touch, and it'll show you exactly what to look for in that spot. So it's a really great tutorial of how to do a very complete ladder inspection. So you've picked the right ladder for the job. Then you've inspected it to make sure it's in good condition. What are you looking for? Well, the basic things that I want you to look for in a ladder inspection and that most people overlook is the feet on your ladder are like the tires on your vehicle. Ladder feet are designed out of a softer material and they have tread. The reason that they have that tread is just like the tires on your vehicle so that they can grab the ground. We tell you to stake your ladder off or tie it in place, but a lot of times that doesn't happen. You're just relying on the feet to hold you in place. If the feet are worn and the tread is gone, replace the feet. It's usually a simple nut and bolt or a snap-on type of a foot. Ladder companies make accessory feet that can just lock onto your ladder. So you don't have to replace the whole ladder, just change the feet. Now, fiberglass, I pointed out earlier that fiberglass is non-conductive, but it is a resin. So if that resin is cracked, bent, broken, or split in any way damaged that wasn't there when the ladder was built, you don't know what that ladder is rated for. I don't know what it's rated for. And the only way to find out is somebody having an accident. So if there's any damage to that fiberglass at all, that ladder needs to be taken out of service, tagged out, cut up, thrown away. If you're going to cut up a ladder and throw it away, cut it down the middle. Don't cut it into climbable sections. We've had lawsuits where they've cut extension ladders up into 6-foot pieces. People have taken those out of the dumpster, sued, and won. I know it's a crazy thing to say, but if you're going to cut a ladder up, cut it right down the middle, make sure it's not climbable. But take your fiberglass ladders out of service if they're damaged in any way. Now, fiberglass wears out in the sun. It's just a property of fiberglass. The coatings for fiberglass that protect it are mostly conductive in nature. So ladder companies don't use them. So if your ladder's out in the sun, it's going to start to fade. It's not bad if it fades, but it's bad if it fades to the point where the surface starts to crack and split, and you can start feeling the fiber splinters as you climb it or go up and down handling that ladder. You've all been there. You know what I'm talking about when you get that fiberglass splinter in your hand. If it's old and the surface is starting to crack and split, that ladder needs to be replaced. Reason for that is fiberglass is non-conductive, but the fibers inside the resin are absorbent, and they can absorb moisture. The more moisture they absorb, the more it can start to arc electricity. So it can become conductive if the surface wears too much. So you want to replace those when the surface starts to crack and split. Okay, you picked the right ladder for the job. You've inspected it, made sure it's in good condition. Now it needs to be set up as flat and as level as possible. I've seen people all the time, their ladder is leaning like this. They do one of two things. They either stack some bricks or boards under here, or they say, I'm just going to climb it over here and I'm going to balance this out. I'm going to do my own equation and I'm just going to figure out what the center line is. Ladders are designed to be set up flat and level. Now we realize that flat and level is almost never on your job site. So OSHA puts a word in several of the paragraphs in the standard that address this. They say, set the ladder up as level and as flat as you can. If you can't, then secure it. If it's going to be slippery, then secure it. If you can't go up a certain height above, then secure it. So that's kind of the best practice is when in doubt, if your ladder's not set up properly or there's going to be some side movement or any kind of danger whatsoever, that ladder needs to be secured in place to prevent any kind of movement. So that's kind of the best practice safety involved in ladder safety is when in doubt, secure your ladder. So set it up as level as you can, secure it. The last rule, and if you don't remember anything about today except for this one thing, besides how big my head looks on the screen, but if you don't remember anything, remember this one thing. You got to keep your body between the side rails of your ladder. I don't care what ladder it is, if it's an extension ladder or an A-frame ladder. We get people all the time that say, well, there's something right over here, and so I'm going to grab a hold. I'm going to stick my leg out, and I'm going to do this Cirque du Soleil balancing to try and get that one last thing. Well, so many of our accident reports start out with that story. It was the last thing I had to grab, so I held onto the side rail and I stuck my leg out and overreached. When it goes fast, and they usually involve a catastrophic fall, which is either a disability or a fatality. So all of those really catastrophic accidents happen because people get outside of the footprint of their ladder. So know that it's not just the side rails, it's the footprint of your ladder that you want to keep your body within. So you can reach, we just don't want you to overreach. That's rule number one. That's the way to stay the safest. Now, those are the 4 rules. Simple, easy, I've made them complicated. But choose the right ladder for the job. Fiberglass, 300 pounds. Make sure it's the right length and size and style. Inspect it to make sure that it's in good condition. Set it up as level as you can, and if you can't, secure it. And whatever you do, keep your body between the side rails of the ladder. So why, if it's so simple, do ladder accidents continue to happen and happen and happen and increase? There's 4 main causes of ladder accidents. And I want to talk about not what the rules are, but what are the real causes of ladder-related accidents, and how can we avoid them or prevent them by design? So number 1, more people are hurt involving a ladder from taking the ladder on and off the truck than falling off of a ladder. So the number 1 cause of ladder accidents isn't falling from a ladder. It's ladders are too heavy. They're too awkward because a 28-foot extension ladder is 14 feet long. So it's not a 70-pound box. It's over 14 feet. Now I've got to balance it. Chances are it's on a ladder rack. So I've got to stand on my door jamb or my tire to get that off of the rack. So the most dangerous part of my job is getting my ladder on and off the rack. So how do we solve that problem? How do we, if ladders weigh too much, what do we do to solve it? Well, simple solution is we just make lighter fiberglass. So Little Giant makes the lightest fiberglass on the market, and now all ladder companies make a lightweight version of their extension ladder. So know that lighter weight fiberglass ladders exist, and Little Giant's the lightest extension ladder on the market. We've reduced the overall weight by over 20%. So a 28-foot extension ladder goes from 70 pounds down to 50 pounds. That's a 20-pound dumbbell you're not dragging on and off the truck multiple times a day or trying to carry across the parking lot. So we're going to reduce accidents and injuries just by making fiberglass stronger and lighter. Number 2, and this is a crazy one. I was surprised, I've been in the ladder business a long time. I was surprised that this was the number 2. This step on a ladder is the most dangerous statistically. More people get hurt stepping off of here and coming down and hurting their ankles or their knees or falling backwards and hurting themselves. So stepping off early, and I think we've all done it. And if you haven't done it on a ladder, you've done it in a dark staircase. You've gone down and you did that weird step at the bottom. Happens on ladders every single day. The solution is letting people know that the bottom of the ladder is different than all of the other steps on your ladder. This conditions the climber to wait for the bottom step. It's called the ground cue. And this is the solution to keeping people from stepping off early. We're going to condition the climber to know that the bottom step is different, make them wait for that bottom step. They get conditioned to hear it and feel it. So that's a Little Giant patented product that helps solve that number 2 problem. The number 3 problem is people overreach. We talked about that. People get outside of the footprint, they overreach. So how do we solve the problem of people getting outside of the footprint and overreaching? I mean, how do we prevent people from doing that? I want to show you this this product really quick. Looks like your regular extension ladder. It's lighter than anything else out on the market, but what it does is have outriggers. Those outriggers more than double the width at the base. Now, even if I'm crazy out here where I'm not supposed to be, I'm not able to tip that ladder over because I'm not outside of the footprint. So I'm not able to tip that over. Now, the ground again is never level. That's the 4th problem, is the ground isn't level. So I'm gonna make those outriggers adjust to the ground. Now, if I'm out in the dirt on a job site, I can drop one leg longer than the other and simply adjust it to the levelness of the ground and work safely up and down from an outriggered structure. Now, one last product I want to throw out here just as a safety feature is we're trying to address the issue of 3 points of contact and tie-offs at certain height. So the standard says, as you go up and down, maintain 3 points of contact, which is 2 feet, 1 hand, 2 hands, 1 foot. It never really talks about what you do when you stop to work. A lot of companies have written that into their own safety procedure, that they have to maintain 3 points of contact. That means if I have to work with both hands, I have to have a tie-off from someplace else. And almost never is there an engineered anchor point directly above where you need to work with a ladder. So it becomes very difficult to keep that rule. The other issue is tie-offs at height. Industry, it's 4 feet. Construction, it's 6 feet. Some companies have their own rule. Ladders are exempt from that tie-off rule. We don't want you tying off to a ladder. But a lot of companies have written that in, that they need to be tied off. Again, there's not an engineered anchor point directly above where you are, and we don't want you tying off to a piece of conduit or something that's not engineered for it. With a cage type system, a platform with a guardrail, that's going to allow you to walk through the one-way gates that lock behind you. I've got a 42-inch guardrail system all the way around me. Now I can work with both hands in any direction. My feet are supported. I'm in a scaffolding type setup at the top of an adjustable fiberglass base. Well, why would I need it to be adjustable? Well, how many times on a job site have you had a staircase, an uneven surface, a platform, or any of those different uneven surfaces that you've been able to go into? With the cage, you can adjust one side longer than the other, set your ladder right up into that surface. Now you're not scheduling scaffolding. You're not worrying about a scissor lift. You can just go ahead and set the cage up into that position. Safety features in place. There's a rope brake built into the back of this product that allows it to telescope down and lock into place so that you can control the descent with the rope brake system, and then it just rolls out of the way. So we've talked about the rules for ladder safety. Choose the right ladder for the job. Inspect it, set it up level, secure it, climb it between the side rails, keep your body centered. The causes of accidents are ladders weigh too much. Know that we make lighter ladders. People step off early. That's a training issue, but we also have ground cue to condition people not to step off early. People overreach, so we've added outriggers to our extension ladders. We've added guardrail systems to our platform ladders. And then we have those hard to reach areas like staircases, where we've designed ladders to actually adjust to those hard to reach areas and allow you to work safely from a guardrailed system while you're in those uneven surfaces. So make sure that you follow the simple basic rules, that you provide the resources to your employees. Again, 4 basic simple rules. There's a couple of websites that I want you to be aware of. The American Ladder Institute. The American Ladder Institute is the industry organization that supports ladder safety. Every month in March, we hold Ladder Safety Month. So you can go to laddersafetymonth.com or American Ladder Institute or laddersafetytraining.org. There's free online training available from the industry in Spanish and English that's available on that website. We also highly recommend the NIOSH app for ladder safety. We really want to thank the Electrical Association and Moulton Ladder for inviting us today to do this. We wanted to open it up for any questions because we've kind of covered a lot of ground. So coffee at happy hour. That's up to you, Sarah. That's up to you. I'm in Utah, so
Well, it's certainly up to everybody what they'd like in terms of a beverage. It's a BYO situation, although normally at this time, if we were together, there would be a beer or two in a couple of hands, that's for sure. So
Yeah, you're after work hours, so it's up to
exactly.
you.
It's okay for us. But guys, are there any questions at this point for Dave or Dom? That if you have them, throw them in the chat. We will, as always, we're going to send out, well, it'll probably be tomorrow morning, but we'll send out a follow-up. It'll include Dominic's information as well as the video. You can share it along with your staff because there was a lot of really good information. I couldn't personally take enough notes.
So Dom's there locally, and he's supported by our factory rep at KB Sales, Joe Clancy. And they have the training and the ladders. They can come out to your job site, to your association meeting whenever it's safe to come face to face again. If not, we can always do a live presentation for you and your organization, and Dom can set that up for you. So we're using technology here at Little Giant Live to make these presentations as interactive as possible. And we want everybody to stay safe, COVID-wise and also ladder safety-wise.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Dominic, is there anything else you'd like to share before we close out?
Yeah, one other thing I want to share is that we do stock a full line of Little Giant in our warehouse in Philly, as well with all the other brands, Warner, Louisville, and all that kind of stuff. But we do have the full line of Little Giant available.
Fantastic. Wonderful. All right. Well, I don't see any questions coming through. You must have, well,
Okay.
I will tell you, you did an excellent job, Dave. We
Thank you,
really
Sarah.
appreciate your time. Dominic, again, thank you. Everyone have a great evening and cheers.
All right.
Thank you.
Be safe, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.